stop everything just to tell my friends what fate had done. I like the way you talk to me, you treat me better than the rest. And finally, this is the true love emergency. This is not a test. I know heaven looked down and gave me the best, 'cause I've been waiting, I've been searching a long time for you. Kept my heart open, praying and hoping for you.
Say I had a vision, or a dream would not be true. I only had a promise of what love could do.
But then a merciful hand reached out and brought me you. 'Cause I've been waiting, I've been searching a long time for you. Kept my heart open, praying and hoping for you.
Love has many consequences,
No one can ever see,
but if we mend those broken fences,
the gates will open, love sets you free. 'Cause I've been waiting, I've been searching a long time for you. Kept my heart open, praying and hoping for you. Oh, I've been waiting, I've been searching a long time for you. Kept my heart open, praying and hoping for you.
for you,
I've been waiting,
for you.
I've been waiting.
MeTV, which stands for Memorable Television, is my absolute favorite TV network out there. For years I've been able to pick it up with an over-the-air antenna, and most of the time the signal and picture are pretty darn good. That said, I've always wished that I could just stream MeTV through my set-top box or over my phone or PC, and until recently, that just hasn't been possible, which is a shame because there are parts of the country where folks just can't get MeTV. The Friendly TV streaming service recently added MeTV to their channel lineup. And you know what? They didn't stop there. They've also got Heroes and Icons, better known as H&I, and Decades, and there's even more than that. Right now, Friendly TV has 9 channels that are dedicated to playing classic TV shows and movies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you know what? There's more on the way. The really cool thing is that between all of these channels, it's pretty darn easy to find most of the TV shows that we all loved when we were growing up. And have I mentioned that you get all this for just $6.99 a month? Quite frankly, if MeTV had a streaming service of its own, I'd be willing to pay that price. Now, I should point out that if you do subscribe and stay subscribed, Friendly TV does provide me with a bit of a financial incentive. So not only do you get a ton of great TV, but you get to support my YouTube channel as well.
this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
Michelle Pfeiffer? The only true Catwoman is Julie Newmar, Lee Merriweather, or Eartha Kitt. And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It's time. Let's talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff.
The Livestream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. I guess it's good afternoon depending on where you are. There are a few folks, I'm guessing, out there on the West Coast that's still late morning, but welcome to the Good Stuff Live Q&A edition, August 2022. My name is Dave Sundstrom, and if you enjoy talking about music, movies, mostly TV, from decades gone by, well, you've come to the right place. Can you guys hear that? I've got jet fighters. Just they feel like they're actually out in my front yard, but I'm sure they're a couple miles away, but they are loud. But welcome to the live stream. You know, I haven't been able to do my traditional Thursday evening live stream for a few weeks, and it appears that next week is going to be a similar situation. So I thought I had some time right now. Why not come on and visit with you guys and say hello and answer any questions and just chat, right? I've got some videos and we can play those, but a lot of that, my decisions as to what we do over the course of the next hour or so will depend on where the conversation goes. So I already see a super chat coming in, so I do want to address that quickly. I like to address those, give them a little bit of priority since they're showing some financial support for the channel. This is from my friend Justin Aylett on the West Coast. Hey, Justin, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the super sticker or the super chat. Truly appreciated. I have invited Justin in the near future to hang out with me on a round table. So a round table or two. So it'll be great to get Justin back on the screen. He always has some interesting takes on many classic TV shows, including Three's Company. So we will have a Three's Company topic at some point in the future, Justin, and you definitely need to be there for that one. So anyway, thank you very much, Justin. Truly appreciated. Feels like a fembot kind of situation to me.
I have created the ultimate weapon to defeat Austin Powers. Bring in the fembots!
Thank you for your support, Justin, aka Braidwood Inn. All right, hey, I'm going to today's Q&A. So I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to take suggestions. I'm going to listen to you guys, and I'm going to talk a little back, obviously. So let me start here with Jerry Gillespie, who says, "Happy Friday, Dave. Suggestion: how about a segment on great character actors? An example: Charles Lane from Petticoat Junction. Great suggestion, by the way. John McGiver, Lucy Show." Beverly Hillbillies, and Pat Carroll. All great suggestions. I won't lie to you. I kind of weigh some of that, my decisions as to who to cover topic-wise on the momentum of the channel. If I've had like a video that has had a bunch of views and it's getting a lot of YouTube's promoting it heavily, then I will go ahead and make a video about where I know may not get the same number of views. It may not be as popular, but it's one that personally I would enjoy making. So those are all great suggestions, and I appreciate them so very much, Jerry. Thank you. Let's see what we got going here. We've got a lot of folks in the chat. So I want to say hi to folks. We got Rob Aiken, Tom Lemery, John Doe. Jan Koza popped in and said she had to take off. TDW Maverick, Tom McCluskey, the Hungry Jerk. I think he's come and gone already. Custom God, Dave's Fit Life, Tom Lemery, Superfan Danny Staten from South Carolina, TJ921 Abel. Speaking of Danny Staten, we had that musical piece playing earlier, and I said it was Amy Sedaris, and who did I say it was? Hang on a second. I always forget their names. I'll tell you where it's from, though. Amy Ehrlich and Dave Sidoni. There was a Nickelodeon TV program in the early 90s, so I'm kind of a little more recent than a lot of the stuff that I cover, but it was like a sketch comedy program called Roundhouse. Ran for 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years, but there was also music in it, and that was one of my favorite songs from it. And YouTube lets me play it without any sort of copyright issue, so every now and again you might see that song. Let's see what else we got going here. So hopefully that helps Danny, Superfan Danny Staten, and Dave's Fit Life. Let's see. The problem with, I try to answer comments when I can, when we got videos going. If I can answer a question or something in the comment section or in the chat, I will, but I'm not a great multitasker, so I can only type so much really quick before I need to go to something else as I keep the live stream going. So there you go. D. Wade says that he saw Andre the Giant behind the $6 Million Man in the thumbnail. Yeah, if we want to talk about Andre the Giant. So I'll let you in on a little something. So I've done videos on the $6 Million Man and Andre the Giant as Bigfoot. I'm planning on doing another because Lee Majors tells a fascinating story about Andre the Giant and the Bigfoot suit. But I don't want to share any more than that right now. That's going to be a later on thing, probably a few weeks from now. But it's on the docket. I'm going to make that video. John Doe says, Dave, why not a best of sci-fi or fantasy with all the passings? We need a real fun time. Great suggestion. I've done them in the past, and I definitely will do them in the future. And I agree. I don't want to, every time I come on, it feels like I'm talking about someone passing away, And while that's an important conversation, and I think it's really important to celebrate the lives of individuals that have died, have passed away, I think that can't be the only reason to do live streams. Let's see. Emily Miller asks, did I get sponsored? I am not sponsored by Friendly TV, but I will say this. They did reach out to me, and they've offered me, I'm going to post a link to Friendly TV in the description section of this video. I have done it in a lot of different videos. And if you try the service and if you like it, they give me a tiny kickback. It's not enough for me to even worry or stress about, but it's still nice as I continue trying to grow the channel. So not a sponsorship, but an affiliate relationship. Dave's Fit Life said, just binge watched Night Sky. I've never seen that movie. Good stuff. Great to see Sissy Spacek in a great role for her. She's a wonderful actress. Welcome to Superfan John Collins, and Sarita Abney is here. Dumbing It Down with Dave is here. Superfan Emily Miller is here. Let's see if I can find some more questions here. Megafauna is here, who said, Olivia's death shook me up too. I'm not even a big fan of hers or anything. I do like her songs, Magic and Physical. She was hot in Grease too. John Doe's asking if we're live on tape. We are live on live. There will be some videos I'll probably play, but this is not recorded. It is live You hear me? I am speaking. Let's see. Hello, Stardust Memories. Great to have you here. I'm not following the conversation, but any time someone says 8-track, I'm going to highlight it. Oh, good morning, Custom God. Let's see. I don't know why. Well, because of the PG-13 thing. Yeah, please guard your language. Let's keep it to PG-13. I appreciate that. Oh, look at that. 8-tracks were the best, or was the best. They certainly were great. They served their purpose. I think I like cassettes better and CDs even more. And I love digital media. So glad you didn't hear the airplanes, Danny. Those jet fighters are so loud, and I'm just not sure how sensitive my microphone is. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, hello and happy Friday afternoon, Dave. Sorry I'm a bit late. You're not late. Made it just on time. Good to have you here with us. Let's see. TJ 921 Abel says that they love Three's Company, and we do need an Austin Powers 4. Absolutely. Hey, Sakina, good to have you here with us. Welcome. Megafauna loves Three's Company as well. Let's see. Superfan Emily Miller says that she wrote a letter to Santa, never did get the train. Sorry to hear that. Oh, lots of buffering, so sorry about that, Tom. Yeah, Larry Storch was awesome. SJ Miola, good to have you with us. Welcome. Let's see. Brenda Bunch says, good afternoon, Mr. Dave. Taking a mental health break as I virtually counsel people. Your streams are so enjoyable. Thank you, Brenda. Truly appreciate the comment, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. It sounds to me like you're in a therapist kind of role, and that's really important work. So thanks for all you do. Let's see what we got going here. Dave, are there any more celeb interviews in the future? I enjoyed the Richard Klein one a lot. I know you're waiting on Joyce Heiser. Yeah, I you know what? I'm not good at being a pest. So Joyce and Lydia Cornell both had said they would be willing, but they haven't been really all that anxious to do it, is the best way to describe it. And they're just wonderful people, and they're probably, end of the day, it's just a little YouTube channel, and they probably have more important things to do. But I continue to look for opportunities. There may be one in the not too distant future. I don't want to say the name, but you may see an actual interview in the not too distant future. A 60s actress, a beautiful lady. And from what I understand, she actually has started a podcast of her own, and I think I can maybe play the, hey, let me bring you on for an interview, and you give you a chance to promote your podcast. So fingers crossed, more to come on that, Justin. Terrell Eugene Bellinger suggested that says, can I please suggest you do a Whatever Happened To profile on the real life brothers of Stanley and Barry Livingston? That would be a great one. They were on the Pop Culture Retro podcast, it was Barry that was on the Pop Culture Retro podcast not too long ago, and great stuff. So yeah, it's a great suggestion, although I will tell you that you made a suggestion the other day, Terrell, about the Seagal twins, and that one's going to happen sooner than this suggestion. I've got that one on my list. Oh, thank you, Emily, for reminding everybody to hit the like button. Appreciate that. David C. says Olivia Newton-John was beautiful and talented. Another lovely lady who passed away was Judith Durham, lead singer from The Seekers. I'm not sure I'm familiar with The Seekers. Yes, superfan Emily Miller is pointing out that the family of Van Heesch are making a really difficult decision today. It sounds like they might be making the decision to take her off life support. Hey, I'm going to jump ahead of the comments. I'll come back to that one in just a moment. I want to make sure I get John's here. He dropped a super chat for $10, incredibly generous. Thank you, John Collins. He says, I just wanted to say on behalf of the community, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for being genuine as well. There are so many hoax channels out there. There really are. There are channels out there at this point that are saying people are dead when they're not. And not honest mistakes like the toning down mistake, but really just it's not clickbait, it's trick bait. They're trying to trick people into clicking on their videos. Their videos rarely have anything to do with what the title or the thumbnail indicates. And it's just a shame, particularly when you love this niche as much as I do. I love talking about music, movies, mostly TV from decades gone by. So thank you for the kind words, John. You are such a great supporter of the channel. I truly appreciate you. Feels like a Mr. Rogers moment.
You are special.
Thank you for your support, John. All right, let me get back here to Emily. Yeah, Anne Heche, that is a tough one. It's a tough decision to make, but here's something that Anne Heche has said is that it's important to her that her organs be donated to save other people's lives. And I think the thinking is that the longer they leave her on life support, the less viable some of those things are. And so they're just trying to do the right thing. And that's got to be an incredibly difficult decision. Kevin Scott 76 has found out all of Love Boat episodes are on Paramount Plus. I have subscribed to Paramount Plus as well. I just finished watching The Offer, which is a 10-episode miniseries on the making of The Godfather. Really good, adult programming, not something you'd sit down with the kids to watch, but it was really good, and I really found it enjoyable. And if you're a fan of The Godfather movies, particularly 1 and 2, the way I am, you will enjoy that. Referring to Anne Heche, Stardust Memory says, sad situation. Dumbing it down with Dave says, I watch MeTV on a semi-regular basis. I watch it literally every day. And I know some folks are really turned off by the commercials, but I'm not. I won't lie. I have both on my TiVo, which I can get MeTV over the air. And then on Friendly TV, I have a subscription to Friendly TV. I DVR a lot of stuff, so I do skip through a lot of commercials, but I occasionally watch 1 or 2 if they seem interesting to me. Superfan Danny Staten says, feeling sad about Anne Heche. Yeah, it does not sound like she will make it. Don't know what do the 5 means, though. Sonata 477 says, howdy. And TJ921 Abel says, reminds me of Memorex. Is it live or is it Memorex? It is live, my friend. We are live today. Another 8-track comment. I liked 8 tracks until it changed tracks in the middle of a song. That was my big gripe, too. It would start fading out, and then it would, change and fade back in. Yeah, well, Pastor her all you want, Emily. I would love to be able to visit with Lydia, but again, I don't want her angry when I finally get a chance to visit with her. Let's see. Dumbing it down with Dave says, when I would visit my grandparents' apartment in Brooklyn as a child, they had an 8-track player, but only 2 8-tracks. One was Oliver, the musical, great one with Jack Wilde. And Fiddler on the Roof with Topol. Great stuff. Hey, it's my buddy Thresh Pondo Pons. Thank you so much for doing an impromptu live stream last night when it became apparent that I was not going to be able to do so. Folks, if you haven't watched that, it's well worth your time. Yes, we're excited to see Thresh Pondo in the chat. Let's see. William Tucker says, I'd love to see some interviews of the 8 is Enough cast. That would be, I have not reached out to any of them, and I would love to visit with like Willie Ames. A number of different cast members would be fun. Okay, Georgie Girl was the Seeker's big hit. Thank you so much. I've, of course, heard that song. Justin, a.k.a. Braidwood Inn, says, does anyone recall the incident in the 90s where Olivia Newton-John's husband-boyfriend faked his death, then he was spotted in Mexico like a decade later? I remember reading about that. The mystery, this, I can't remember I think he was her husband at that point, Justin, but he disappeared and it was, he just went off the radar. Kind of weird stuff for sure. Sonata 477 says I played 8 tracks through my 2XL. Little Robot Singing Pinball Wizard. Of course I remember the 2XL. That's awesome. Superfan John Collins points out that Dick Van Dyke is very much alive. Thank you very much. And yes, indeed he is. Oh dear. So it does sound like Anne Heche has passed away, and that is tough. Tough for the family. And tough for fans, too. Braidwood, I thought that was the hubby of the TPI, the Price is Right model. Now, that may be true as well, but it did actually happen with Olivia Newton-John. Sakina says as soon as she hit the good, or saw that it was the good stuff, she hit the like button. Thanks so much, Sakina. Let's see. TJ921 says that he likes, or they like my thank you material. Well, glad you do. I need to freshen that up a bit. I haven't created more thank you material in a couple of months, and I need to do that. Stardust Memory says, happy birthday to George Hamilton, age 83 today. That's awesome. Let's see. Conversation amongst the community members here. So if I see questions or comments that are worth, that merit bringing up on the screen, those are the ones that I will highlight. S.J. Miola says favorite 2 shows were The Odd Couple and Alf. Those are great. And I do agree, Stardust Memories, that we need retro commercials on MeTV. That would be a lot of fun if they interspersed them. Nick at Night did that for a while. Or maybe it was TV Land. I can't remember which one. Love Land of the Lost. So the story about Anne Heche, dumbing it down with Dave, says she was driving ridiculously fast. Don't know. I don't know the reasons. Don't really know the details. There's also a nurse in the news who drove ridiculously fast into an intersection, killed people. What's all that about? I don't know. But let's drive carefully, people. Do our part to drive carefully and drive defensively and stay safe. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty, good to have you with us. Good to have you with us. And Gary Carpenter's here as well. Only 257. If I haven't said hello, I will. I have now. Oh, darn it all. I didn't know that. It does sound, I'm going to just let you guys talk about that. I'm not going to bring that up as topic of the live stream or as part of the live stream. Take it off the screen actually here. Thrash Pondo says, it was totally my pleasure. Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to hanging out with Thrash and ENC next Monday on Ian's the Retro Serial live stream. So, and then sounds like Thrash will take my Thursday spot next week. So for all community members, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for folks to get together and visit and, just connect. Super important thing. So Rob Aiken says that it is official that Anne has been announced dead a few minutes ago. Darn it all. And nothing wrong with referencing a lot of Batman. Love Batman, the character, and specifically the 1966 television series. Did you feel forced to watch the Batman 2022 movie? I enjoyed it. I mean, it's very, very different than the Batman that I love the most, that's nearest and dearest to my heart. But I enjoyed the new movie and thought it was worth it. Worth watching, worth my time. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, why wasn't the Tracy Ullman show, that early Fox show that introduced The Simpsons, never really brought up in conversation in terms of nostalgia? I think it's probably because of the era. I mean, it's still one. It only ran for 2 or 3 seasons, if that, and it was late 80s, early 90s. So as folks wax nostalgic for old TV shows, it's old, but it's not as old as a lot of the shows that we think of when we think of retro TV. But Tracy Ullman, truly a talented lady, and she had a wonderful song in the 80s called They Don't Know that I liked very, very much. And yes, her show is where we first saw The Simpsons. Let's see. Scrolling through. See what else we got here. Tom Lemery says, can't stand that trick bait. Oh, hate the then and now thumbnails. They have the gross picture. Yeah, and it's not even them usually. Irritates the heck out of me. Kevin Scott 76, welcome to the live stream, says another positive channel is Egotastic Fun Time. I'll have to check that one out. I would love a show on MeTV. Hey, MeTV, give me a show. I've got some ideas. Shazam 1974, awesome. Been watching that on Tubi lately. I've watched scenes of that Turkish Star Wars movie. Horrible, horrible film. It's unwatchable in my mind. You know, they say that the new Batgirl movie that was shelved by HBO Max and Warner Brothers was irredeemable, unwatchable. No. I'm sure that would have been a fine movie. I'm heartbroken that we're not going to see it. But that movie, that Turkish Star Wars movie, is horrible. Superfan John Collins says, hey, Dave, would mere mortals such as myself be allowed to be in one of your roundtable review episodes? Just asking for a friend who happens to be inside of me. Absolutely. I'll look for opportunities. I know there's a handful of you that I've connected with in the past, and there may be others in the future. I'll look for opportunities to bring folks on as guest commentators. I will never forget ISIS. Someone told me, and I don't know if this is true, that ISIS makes an appearance in the Black Adam DC Comics movie that stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I would love that to be true. Cannot wait for Monday. Can't wait to visit with you and ENC then. Lots of folks expressing their condolences about Anne passing on. Gary Carpenter says, I love Batman, was one of my favorite shows. I don't really know what this means. Yes, Dave, I was, for the love of God, the pilot of the movie didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I thought the Batman was killer. I thought it was very good. It's hard to... I have such fond memories for the 89 Tim Burton Batman movie starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, but I don't know if it's a better movie than the 2022 Batman movie. I really don't. John Doe says the last good Batman movie to him is Batman Returns. Love that movie. Let's see. It's just so different, right? The 1966 Batman TV show is so very different. It's a different Batman, and that's the beautiful thing about this character. He's so malleable, right? He can be all sorts of different things. The Adam West version is wonderful. The Robert Pattinson version is very interesting. Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, you name it. George Clooney. They all brought a little something to the table. Some better than others, but that's what I love about the character. Oh, my goodness. Really? Somebody posted a picture of Sybil Shepherd and said, R.I.P. Anne Heche. Good gravy. Justin says, I agree. The 1989 Batman movie is still the best. Ledger was a great actor, but the ensemble in the 89 version was outstanding. Yeah, Jack Palance was so good in that movie. Let's see. Holmes and Yo-Yo? Is that the one you're talking about, John Doe? The cop show in the 70s. There, when his partner was a cyborg. I think you're talking about Holmes and Yo-Yo. It's a comedy starring with John Schuck in it. So clearly the Batman 2022 edition has its dissenters. There wasn't an old Batman radio show. There was Batman made numerous appearances on the Superman radio show, though. And there was one pilot episode of a Batman radio show, which was like the Batman Club for Boys or something like that, where Bruce Wayne reads or Batman reads a story, a mystery to some kids in the Batcave or something like that. But it wasn't really what you'd expect from a Batman radio show. Batman's radio appearances were made on the Superman radio show. Let's see. Sonata 477 says every Sunday me and the boys would get a dozen donuts and watch the Tracy Ullman show. After that, it was The Simpsons. Yeah, Great. Sounds like great memories, and thank you for sharing them. All right, I do have another super chat. I'm going to bump up to that, and then we will get back to the comments. McGanahan Sky Jelly Fetty says, have a few more Diet Cokes on me. Thank you. Good, sir. A few more Diet Cokes on me, Uncle Dave. Still waiting for the Vince Welnick video. Thank you for the reminder. But you are subscribed to my Retro Music Memories channel, because that's where it'll be. And, man, I know I'm going to forget if I don't do something about that. Let me see. Hang on a second. I need to write something down here. Oh, I'm going to even stand up. Sorry, folks. Very unprofessional to do on a live stream, but gotta do it. Vince Welnick. Love that dude. Member of the Tubes, member of the Grateful Dead. Not enough people talk about him and celebrate his life. Thank you so much for that. Feels like good gravy. Feels like a Ed Grimley moment to me. Thanks so much. Appreciate that, McGanahan. Sky Jelly Fetty. Love that username, by the way. Let's see. Braidwood Inn says to Emily that he just saw Sybil in The Last Picture Show. That's a good movie. Bogdanovich film, right? Patrick McDermott, Olivia Newton-John's ex-boyfriend of 9 years, faked his death in 2005. He was photographed in Mexico in 2017. How about that? Wow. I saw the 89 movie at the theater as well, multiple times. Let's see. Holmes and Yo-Yo. Yep. Sonata 477 says, I was an usher back in 89. The bat line went around the block. Oh, I remember standing in line for that movie, and then an even longer line for Batman Returns. Although those lines dissipated quickly when folks really discovered what a freaky movie that was. David C. says the 1966 Batman TV show was kid-friendly. It was campy and fun. I was a little kid and loved it. Shuck, yeah, he was a great Herman Munster on the updated version of the Munsters. That was the one. Yeah, ran in syndication, late 80s, I want to say, and had Veronica Hamilton in that show as well. Veronica Hamill on that show as well. Beautiful lady. All right, only 257 says huge Munsters fan. Only and that the Simpsons rock. Okay, Steve Schwetman says there was a cop show about a cyborg cop with Ernest Borgnine. It may have been Borgnine. It may have just been after Holmes and Yo-Yo. Yeah, I do. I've seen a promo for that. I don't think I ever saw an episode, and I can't remember the title of it now. Dumbing It Down with Dave says John Shuck's co-star in Holmes and Yo-Yo was a popular character actor. He reminds me of Tom Hanks a bit, slight resemblance. And then Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, didn't In Living Color replace the Tracy Ullman show? They were both on Fox and went on to become more known for pushing the envelope and breaking the barriers of sketch comedy. All the last part's true. I'm just not sure that it was the actual replacement, although they were both on Sunday. I know they were for a while, so you might be right. Superfan John Collins says, Dave, being the huge Batman television show fan that you are, I'm asking a question not for trivia. When was the last time ever Burt Ward and Adam West appeared in full costume together on TV, non-animated? I've got to think it's the Legends of the Superhero TV specials, Legends of the Superheroes TV specials that Hanna-Barbera made during the late 70s. That would have been... use full costume together is your question, because there's, of course, was the return to the Batcave TV movie in the 90s. But full costume, the two of them together, Legends of the Superheroes, 1977, Hanna-Barbera, two-part production, aired on NBC. Thanks for asking the question, Superfan John Collins. Let's see. Terrell, love that show. Must be talking about In Living Color. Lynn F says, I think the Batman characters are getting darker and yes, they are. Darker and darker over the years. Prefer the earlier ones. Although, and I talked about this on the podcast, ENC's Retro Serial podcast, about great shows with series finales. There was a cartoon, an animated show called Batman the Brave and the Bold, which did exactly that. It attempted to bring back the lighter version of Batman. And it aired from 2008 to 2011. Really wonderful TV show. Cartoon, though, so if you're not into cartoons, you probably wouldn't enjoy it. But not dark Batman at all. Very light, much like Adam West. Diedrich Bader was the voice of the Dark Knight, or more like the Bright Knight. I've got another super chat. I want to get to that real quick, and then we'll get back to the comments. This is from Kevin Scott 76. Boy, that got to be careful what I'm saying. YouTube's going to ban me. Here's to support your retro habit. I was in love with Olivia. I wrote her in 7th grade and was convinced she would reply and want to come see me. I think you weren't the only one in love with Olivia, Kevin Scott 76. You know, there were a lot of us that were just enchanted by her beautiful voice and her beauty, right? And Grease was a fun movie, but she was just so much more than that. She had TV specials. And then, of course, we had Xanadu after that, which was not critically loved and was kind of a flop at the box office, but later on, you know, really had a cult following. So many good things. Her albums, Magic and Physical, and the early stuff with Have You Never Been Mellow. It's just so good. I honestly love you. Oh, I could go on and on. But thank you for the super chat and supporting my retro habit and my Diet Coke habit. Let me see what this is. This feels like a Spider-Man moment.
Someone is trying to embarrass me.
All right, let's see. Steve Schwetman says, on the Superman radio show, the announcer always referred to Batman as the famous Batman. That's awesome. That is awesome. And Jason Schultz said, my girlfriend bought a Great Dane from Burt Ward and his dog rescue shelter. Burt has a big heart. Yeah, he does. Not only do they rescue animals, they have this dog food that they produce, that they sell online, that is purports to extend the life of your animal, like sometimes twice as long. It's all based on what they eat. So it's really incredible stuff that Bert and his wife, Tracy, I believe is her name, do. Tom Lemery says, do you know there have been many versions of Electra Woman and Dinah Girl show? Marky Post was in one of the reincarnations. Yes, there have been 3 versions. 3 versions of that show. There was the original Croft version in the 70s. There was a pilot that you can find on YouTube that aired on Fox one time. Marky Post was Electra Woman in that. And then, of course, we had an updated version that maybe 5-6 years ago now, it aired on YouTube Premium back when they were creating their own original comment. I have not watched that in its entirety. I've watched an episode of 2 or 2. That's it. Okay, Stardust Memories says Batman the audio episodes is awesome. The audio adventures is awesome. Yes, that's a podcast that's going right now, and I have got it queued up, and I have not listened to it yet, so thank you for the suggestion. Yes, it is on YouTube, the pilot of Electra Woman and Dinah Girl with Marky Post. It is very much tongue-in-cheek. Thanks again, McGinnis and Sky Jellyfetty. And Future Cop was the name of that show. Well done. Well done, John Doe. Monsters Today was the reboot with Shuck and Hamill. Steve Schwetman confirms the name of that show. Future Cop, 76 to 77. And Lee Merriweather was a fair lily. Yes. When was she? Was that the movie? I can't remember when she showed up as Lily. I need to go back and watch my own Lee Merriweather video because I'm pretty sure I talked about that. Hey, Mickey Woodcock, welcome. Good to have you here all the way over from across the pond over there in the UK. Good to have you. Tom Lemery says he's mad about the Batgirl movie. I am too. Do you think that the Flash movie should be shelved? No, I don't. I don't think the Batgirl movie should have been shelved. I'm not a fan of the lead actor of the Batgirl, of the Flash, and would love to see. There was a suggestion on Twitter today that maybe, there's thoughts about trying to refilm all the scenes with the Flash with Grant Gustin, who played the Flash on TV. I don't think you can do that, but this is one of those parallel universes, multiverse type stories. So maybe at the end, when the Flash comes back, maybe there's been a change. Maybe it's no longer that actor. Not saying his name. I'm giving him no publicity. It's not that actor that's been getting into so much trouble recently, but instead it's Grant Gustin. And maybe Michael Keaton says something about, well, there have been a few changes, it seems. Something like that. That would be cool. Okay. Gary Carpenter says that it might not be shelved. The Flash is definitely not shelved. Batgirl definitely is. It's unlikely we will ever see that show because of the write-off that they took on it, which means they cannot market it or sell it in any way. At least that's the plan. Gary Carpenter says, I've heard of a live version of Battle of the Planets. Haven't seen that or heard of that, but awesome. Sakina McMurran says, I love the 66 TV version of Batman. They had the biggest stars in Hollywood. Adam West was awesome. Absolutely. So good. So good. Justin says, I remember the episode of Life with Lucy where John Ritter guest starred. It was honestly the only watchable episode of that series. I was out of the country when Life with Lucy aired. Spent 2 years in Spain, and so I have not gone back and watched that TV show. I'm very much aware of it, but I, was very much a disappointment for Lucille Ball, and gosh darn it, I can only imagine an episode with John Ritter in it would be awesome. Diedrich Bader is so cool. I love that dude. And he follows you? Well, he's even cooler for that, super fan Emily Miller. The Brave and the Bold cartoons were awesome. So much fun. And just a light-hearted take on Batman, which is what I think we really need it now. John Aston, I do believe he's still alive. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Gary Carpenter says Gomez Adams is in his 90s. Let's see. What else do we got here? TG921 Abel says, I've been listening to Olivia's music in memory of her, as have I. Superfan John Collins says, have you ever seen the episode of The Family Guy where Brian and Stewie go into a different universes and at one point they become pictured at least as a real baby and they're a real dog? I haven't seen that episode. I love those Brian and Stewie episodes, though. There were some that were patterned after the old Bing Crosby, Bob Hope Road movies, and they were just so much fun to watch. Only 257 says Lost in Space is a classic and some great music done by none other than John Williams. John Doe says that when I was a kid, I thought Man from Atlantis was based on the Submariner. I was kind of thought more like the Aquaman, but either way, there was a lot of similarities with both the Marvel and DC comic characters, and I can see that. And I really loved Man from Atlantis. Let's see. There's an Electro Woman and Dinah Girl spoof on Amazon. I haven't seen that one. So that would make 4 if there's another one besides the one that was produced by YouTube. Let's see. I'm not sure who we're talking about, Gary, here on Lois and Clark. He was mentioned once. Are we talking about Batman? Bruce Wayne? Not sure. Terrell Eugene Bellinger, can I please suggest you do a video on Katie Seagal's tragic miscarriage during the filming of season 6 of Married with Children in the near future? Sounds like a terribly sad video to cover, but I will add it to my potential topics list. Again, I'm just starting work on another suggestion of yours, which is similar to this because it's Katie's sisters, the Seagal twins. Let's see. Hey, it's Superfan Tracy Roth-Myers. Good to have you pop in for the live stream. Hey, Danny Staten's dropping a plug for Daily Dan's The Good Stuff promo. He says, laugh out loud. There's a lot of different things that Danny Staten does. Superfan Danny Staten is prolific on YouTube. He's got the Daily Dan blog, which is probably, well, it's my favorite of the channels, but he's got a new one called The Fat Comic Book Guy. And that one's pretty cool too because he does all sorts of comic book stuff, vintage comics, just like cover parades, comic book reviews, all that kind of stuff. Really good. Thank you for the super chat, Danny. And that feels like a Robin Williams moment who celebrated, well, it wasn't a celebration. Yesterday was the anniversary of his passing.
Grazie, gracias, danke, merci, spasibo, sheshe, arigato gozaimasu.
So, folks, if you're interested in the stuff that Danny Staten does, you can actually just click on his name here in the chat, and I believe YouTube will open up a new window and take you right on over to his channel. He does some really good work there. He's a big fan of retro entertainment, as we all are. Only 257, referring to the Batgirl movie, says that Warner Brothers wasted $90 million on that film. Yes, they did. It was near completion. So sad. Joe Black says the Batman audio has Commissioner Gordon from the Batman voicing the Bat himself. A great hissing voice, my favorite Batman voice. Very cool. Superfan Tracy Roth-Myers is working only about 2 hours to 5. Oh, good. Glad you're on the tail end of the day. That's awesome. And yeah, I love that suggestion. Let's see. Thrash Pondo's got to take off. Thanks, Thrash, for popping in. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty asked me, what did I think of the 1990 Flash TV series? I enjoyed it a lot. It had, it at the time was coming off the momentum of the Batman movie, and we had Tim Burton who did the theme music for it. The costume was similar in like that padding and everything to the Batman Batman movie, and it was just great. I enjoyed it a lot. Mark Hamill shows up as the Trickster. By the way, he reprises that role. Is it reprise or reprise? Anyway, he does that role again in the updated Grant Gustin version of the Flash, which, by the way, I loved the first 2-3 seasons of the new Flash, and then I quit watching. The CW tends to get all soap opera-y, and then all of the characters end up having superpowers, and it just goes off the rails. But I did really love the original Flash from 1990, and then the first handful of seasons of the new Flash. So thanks for that. I've got another super chat here from John Collins I want to jump to, and then I'll get back. There we go. It says, Dave, will you do the community a huge favor since we all trust your sensibility and do a video on 25 films we must see before we die? As always, thank you. Well, that is a really interesting suggestion. Going right next to the Vince Welnick one. That one, 25 films to see before you die. Love it. Great suggestion, John. And with that one, that's your second super chat, my friend. I feel I have no other recourse but to Welk up everybody. It truly is a Lawrence Welk moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you, John Collins. Appreciate your support. Truly means a lot to me. You're a good feller. And that's a great suggestion. All right. Let's keep going. I'm going to scroll back up and try to get back to where I was. I did not know that Salman Rushdie had been stabbed today. He's probably been his life has been in jeopardy ever since he wrote that book. Darn it all. Okay, let me see. Here we go. There's the question about the Flash. Only 257 talks about an episode of the Croft Super Show, a Wonderbug episode where they defeat ghosts in an old western town. I don't remember that particular episode of Wonderbug, but I sure do remember Wonderbug the show and the Croft Super Show as a whole. Wonderful stuff. Yes, I do believe it was underrated and sadly only lasted a single season. How about a show David C.S. on the guest stars Batman and Robin talked with while climbing up the buildings? That would be fun. We could do that. We could show the clips, at least as much as will keep me out of copyright jail with YouTube, and then talk about them. Maybe we'd have to show images. I don't know. Have to figure that one out, but it's a great suggestion. John Wesley Shipp was also in the new version of The Flash. You knew that, though, right, Emily? Superfan Emily Miller. Let's see. I have not seen The Lathe of Heaven, an incredible sci-fi movie from 1980. I should check that out. Superfan John Collins says, Dave, I'd like to discuss Rocky, the original film. It is said to have been kind of low-budget film that turned out so awesome. And, of course, it did. How could they afford Burgess Meredith? That's great idea for a topic, and when we do that as a roundtable, I fully expect to involve you in that, John. Let's see. Hey, it's Superfan George Ayers. Good to have you here with us today. It's Dumbing It Down with Dave says, hey, Dave, do you ever get hired for voiceover work or being a narrator of anything? Your voice is very distinct, and I can see some. Yeah, no. No one's ever approached me about that. I've had folks comment like you are doing, saying you should do that. And I even at one point took the extra step to go out to one of these online services and post some info about being willing to do it. But no one's contacted me, and truthfully, the channel keeps me very, very busy, so I haven't pursued it any further. But thank you for the suggestion and the kind words. I really hope Rushdie is okay as well. Automan and Manimal. There's a couple of shows from the 80s. Let's see, Only 257 says they're awful, but they had some charm if you watched them. And if you were a kid, they were better than awful. They were pretty cool if you're a kid. Sonata 477 agrees, says loved Automan. Apparently Salman Rushdie is in surgery now. Let's hope everything goes okay. Oh, okay. Gary Carpenter says that Batman was mentioned once on Lois and Clark. Awesome. What an angry world we live in these days. What an angry world. Sakina McMurrin says Katie Seagal's twin sisters had a sitcom in the 80s called Double Trouble. Yes, I am going to be doing a video on those twins in the not too distant future. Sonata 477 says, love the $6 Million Man. Yes, I did as well. And I will be doing a video on Andre the Giant and something to do with the Bigfoot suit in the not too distant future. Only 257 says, liked Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, it was kind of an interesting movie. Ed Wood is an interesting character, very low budget. Some call it the worst film ever made. I say no. There are a lot more films that are worse than that one. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, didn't the 1971 CBS Rural Purge and the eventual successes of Norman Lear's sitcoms help play a major role in bridging the gap between Boomer TV and Gen X TV as we know it? Possible. That's a really interesting thought, Terrell, and it's possible that it did. For me, it was, I can see where we're bringing Boomers and Gen Xers together there. But I do feel as, well, you know what? Everything worked out well. Fred Silverman was the genius behind that. And as a result, CBS really, during the early to mid-70s, was a ratings juggernaut. Now, Fred moved over to ABC, and he had similar success over there with shows like Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and so on. Yeah. Great comment. There's a movie I haven't heard of for a long time. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a B movie from the late 80s. Superfan Emily Miller says, that's why I had to stop watching Riverdale. I love the paranormal, but come on. Yeah, me too. I watched the first, I think, 2 seasons of Riverdale and then just stopped. Hey, Daryl Johnston, good to have you with us. Justin Aylett, a.k.a. Braidwood Inn, says, I looked at the 100 albums I must hear before I die at Anthropology store while my wife was shopping. I honestly only liked about 10 of them. That would be true for me, music-wise, too. Critically, the stuff I like, a lot of the critics don't like. The CW shows are not only getting darker, but they're also eliminating a lot of the DC characters at this point. I think we're just left with The Flash now. Is that all that's left? Superfan Emily Miller says, I almost didn't watch it at all after what they did to Jughead. I thought it was an interesting interpretation of Jughead. Obviously not very similar to the comic book character, but an interesting interpretation. Sure do remember the Groovy Ghoulies. John Doe says, a super cheesy movie is called Sting of Death, 1966. I believe I haven't heard of that one. Yes, we had some well going earlier. Probably won't have it again, but we might. You never know. Public domain movies. I'll have to check them out. I would love to do some more watch parties, and these might be some great suggestions if they're truly in the public domain. Sometimes things we think are in the public domain aren't, though, and YouTube's quick to tell me about it. Oh, I'm glad you've enjoyed the live chat. I love doing these things. Dave, do you have any memories of the episode of Magnum P.I. where they spoof Raiders of the Lost Ark? The only memory I have of that is the promo. I remember seeing the promo on TV. I didn't watch the episode and haven't seen it, so that would be a fun one to go back and watch too. Hopefully it is not the end of Batman, but we will have to stay tuned. Magic Mongo was on Croft Super Show. Wonderful. Wonderful stuff, as was Dr. Shrinker and Bigfoot and Wild Boy. Hey, I just watched the 1966 Batwoman movie on Tubi. That was interesting. Not great, but it was interesting. I'm glad you find the voice relaxing. My voice relaxing. I shouldn't call it the voice. Who am I? There's only one guy who should be called the voice, and that's Steve Perry. He has the voice. Oh, folks. We're an hour in. I need to take a break here. I was thinking about only running an hour, but I'm going to go at least another half hour. But I'm going to take a break. Let's do some commercials, and then I'll be back.
Saturday, an NBC movie premiere. Jimmy the Kid, starring Dee Wallace, Pat Morita, Ruth Gordon, Don Adams, and Gary Coleman is Jimmy the Kid. Then on Hunter.
1, this is a cop killing. 2, 3.
Who will lose Saturday?
I am Chevrolet Camaro IROC Z. I am Honda Elite 150 Deluxe. I am more and more, and I am yours to win. I am here wherever they serve or sell Coke or caffeine-free Coke. I am yours to win.
Steven Spielberg presents The Goonies, a Richard Donner film.
Started the tunnel. I don't want to go in anymore, you crazy Goonie adventure.
They've stumbled onto a legend,
And they got chocolate eruption.
but they're not alone.
That's coming up.
The Goonies, rated PG. Special advance preview Saturday, June 1st.
There's a style in the things you do. You're one of a kind.
Montrose beer is just like you. It's one of a kind. It's got a taste so big and true. The great flavor comes bursting through. Montrose beer is just like you. It's one of a kind.
Now taste Diet Mug with 100% NutraSweet. It's saccharin-free and one of a kind.
You got the love. You got the love. You got the love.
They want to know better.
You got the love.
That's all together, working, playing, day or night. The look, that's right. You got the look.
You got the love.
The Jordache look.
You got the love.
Welcome back. We're going to go for another 15, 20 minutes if you want to hang around with me. If not, thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate it when folks are willing to connect with me via these live streams. It means a lot to me. Comment from Again Sky Jellyfed. He says, curiously, was Dan Aykroyd technically the first actor to play the role of Flash in a 1979 SNL episode with guest host Margot Kidder? No. That 1977 Legends of the Superheroes show, the two-parter that aired on NBC in 77, had an actor playing the Flash as well. So he technically, I think that might be our first live-action Flash. I have to look up who that is, and that would be a fun interview to get Justin. Emily Miller says, I had my daughter watch Eraserhead, a David Lynch movie, with me 10 years ago. She still hasn't forgiven me. My kids feel that way about some of the Zack Snyder stuff I make them watch. Superfan John Collins says, Dave, I really usually do not enjoy when people have sponsors, so they have to shill for the company. However, you must reach out to Coca-Cola and make them a sponsor. Much respect for that idea. That would be fun. I should be a sponsor, right? Enough of the bubbly brown caramel colored fluid goes in my body each day. Gary Carpenter says Ed Wood was a weirdo. Yeah, I probably was, but a unique and fun weirdo. John Doe says that SNL got sued by fans of Superman because of the funeral skit. I was unaware. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Riverdale was bad. It was a fairly loose interpretation of the Archie comic book characters. Hey, Michael Staunton, so good to have you all the way from Ireland. Welcome to the live stream. We've been visiting for about 70 minutes now. We're going to go another 10 or so. So good to have you here. If you have any questions, pop them into the chat. I'll try to get to as many as I can in these last few minutes of the live stream. JP Borsaw says the best use of Mr. Ship in the new Flash was as Jay Garrick. Loved him as Jay Garrick. Original Flash playing original Flash. Well said. Well said. Sean Innes, welcome to the live stream, says Gary Carpenter, a guilty watch of mine is The Sword and the Sorcerer. Lots of good actors in that one, including Simon McCorkindale. I've seen that once a long, long time ago, but can hardly remember anything about it. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, Dave, can you please suggest you do a Whatever Happened to video on Keith Coogan? Yeah, that was a cool. That kid was all over the place. He was also in this show where, what was the name of that actor? Oh my gosh. He was in Pretty in Pink, Superman 4. Hiding Out is the name of the movie. And he was in that. Anyway, can't remember the name of the actor that's the main actor in that. You're very welcome, Justin. Yes, I would love to. I always love doing shows on Wonder Woman, and in particular, Linda Carter. Get that phone charged, superfan Emily Miller. Those were fun commercials, weren't they? Dumbing It Down with Dave says, Dave, how many hours of TV watching do you think you average in a day or a week? Other than magazines, do you read books? If so, what types? So probably it's not that much, really. I mean, I watch typically an hour of retro TV a day, and then maybe an hour plus of TV with my wife. She's not a retro TV fan, so like we were watching The Offer on Paramount Plus recently that she enjoyed watching with me. So a couple hours a day. So we're talking probably 15-ish hours a week total TV-wise. I spend a lot of time doing this stuff. Now, if you ask me how much time I'm on YouTube, that would be another hour or two a day. Do I read books? Yeah, I read magazines like Remind and Retro Fan. By the way, look at this. New Retro Fan is going to be out soon. I'm hoping to be able to contact those guys and give out some copies. Where is that? Hang on a second. There it is. That looks like it's going to be a fun edition of Retro Fan. So hopefully they'll give me permission to give away a few copies of that over the course of the next few months during my live streams. And the Remind magazine, I love that as well. And that the August 2022 issue is phenomenal. Good stuff. Oh, and I love Dynamite magazine. You guys have all seen this edition of Dynamite magazine, right? Where Ernest T. Bass was on the cover. Oh, you haven't? Yeah, that's probably because it's made up. I was having a little bit of fun with PowerPoint the other day and created that cover. They should have had Ernest T. Bass in Dynamite magazine. But your question, do I read? Yes, I typically read. At this point, I read nonfiction. Don't read a lot of fiction anymore. And one book that I read recently, and we're a few months back now, but I read The Boys, which was a gift to me from superfan John Collins, written by Ron and Clint Howard. Really great memoir about their time in the entertainment industry. All right, let's get to a few more comments here, and then I will go out. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It was Legends of the Superheroes, and The Roast was the second part of that. I mean, it wasn't the same in that there was no big adventure. It was like a Dean Martin roast, but it was still a two-parter, really. Oh, good gravy. I hadn't heard that Gladys Knight had died. I don't think she has. Folks, you can correct that, right or wrong. This would be over on my retro music channel, but I would love to do a video on Bob Geldof, one of my favorite bands, along with the Tubes and Cheap Trick and Meatloaf, are the Boomtown Rats, which Bob Geldof is, because they've reformed, is the lead singer of. Great suggestion. Do a video about Jimmy the Kid. That would be interesting. I just did a video about Gary Coleman. Wasn't very popular. Didn't get a ton of views. But that would be fun. John Cryer was the name of the individual I was looking for. Cindy D asks, where is our show on hunks? The next GSTV will be Hollywood Hunks, Cindy D. I promise you it will be in the not too distant future. It's coming. Oh, boy. Yes, there is a Batwoman movie. It's on Tubi. It's a Mexican film. And it has nothing to do with the DC comic books character. Superfan Emily Miller says, no, Dave. No Ernest T. Bass on Dynamite magazine. 8 minutes left. Yeah, I'm winding down, folks. I'm filling the end here. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, do you think the Logan's Run TV series should have lasted longer than the one season that it had? I do, but I know that there are folks that felt like it was kind of weak sauce. It was one of those TV shows where you meet people every week, different groups, and you learn things along the way. But I thought it was good. I like Gregory Harrison. Of course, you had Heather Menzies. Thank you, brain, for coming up with that. I hate it when things start to slip. I'm glad to know that Gladys Knight is still alive. And Donald Moffat was in Logan's Run as Rem, the android. He's good. Taking off in 2. I'm not far behind you. I saw that clip of that on YouTube. I have heard that, Tracy, and it's very sad to hear that Anne has passed away at 53 years old. She's younger than me. I thought she was older than me. Oh my goodness. Sad, sad news. Kevin Scott says, Erin Gray was great in the web series The Guild. Erin Gray is great in everything she does. And yes, at least out in my neck of the woods, library computers are still on timers as well. Annoying. Let's see. Gary Carpenter says that Gary Coleman was a great kid, but rude as he got older. Well, you know, life really threw him some curveballs. So I being rude, there's no excuse for it, but in a way, you kind of understand some of the bitterness. Thanks, Sakina. Truly appreciate that. Glad you found it on YouTube. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty says, every time you say in the not too distant future, I keep thinking of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Well, there you go. Great show. Did I talk Xanadu at all? That's what Steve Sundstrom, my brother, my pal, is asking. We did not talk at all about Xanadu. I think I might have mentioned it offhandedly, but we have not talked about Xanadu. Mickey Woodcock says, hope you all push that like button. Dave, the golden voice Sundstrom deserves it. Too kind, Mickey Woodcock. Appreciate you being here with us all the way over from the UK. Cindy D says, I saw David Faustino as a kid and Ted McGinley as Ace on the same episode of The Love Boat on Pluto. I agree, Emily. When there's nobody waiting, why have a timer? Why have a timer? Steve Sundstrom's just joining, hanging out over lunch. Well, we're wrapping this thing up, Stephen Sundstrom, if that's truly your name. You need to get a new video out soon. I've watched your Opie video, I think, probably 3 times, and it's time for a new one. But folks, if you've watched all my videos and you're looking for something new to go watch, you can click on Stephen's name there, and he's got some really great videos over on his channel that are similar in topic and theme as to mine. Yeah, I'm sure Ellen is I'm sure this is a tough day for her as well, given her relationship that she had with Anne in the past. And I did enjoy Erin on Silver Spoons. Terrell says, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend. See you on the next stream. Hopefully I'll see a lot of you guys on Monday over on the Retro Serial channel. ENC and Thrash Panda will be there, and we will be talking live with all of you, anybody that wants to talk about series finales, the best series finales, the worst series finales, and those that fell somewhere in between. Mickey Woodcock wants to know if I'll ever do a Quantum Leap episode. I may. It debuted in the late 80s, and I'm kind of, my sweet spot's the 70s and early 80s. Stephen, who is on with us, has done a video or 2 on Quantum Leap, so you could click on his name and head on over and watch one right now if you were so desired. But I possibly will do one in the future, particularly as we get closer and closer to that reboot debuting. Let's see. Yeah. I think that even though they are exes, I'm sure they still really cared about each other. Sean Innes says, I think the last time I saw Erin Gray was on an episode of Tabletop with Will Wheaton a couple of years ago. She still looks great. She really does, doesn't that? ENC posted the podcast, so that's not a live stream. There's no interaction with the community. But this will be the same topic, but with community interaction. So it should be fun. That would be a lot of fun to do, dumbing it down with Dave. It would be a ton of fun to do. Subscribe to Retro Serial. So do a search on YouTube for Retro Serial and subscribe to that, and hit the notification bell, and you should be made aware of that live stream Monday night. It will be, I believe, at 6:30 p.m. Mountain. That's going to make it 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, I'm not super excited for the reboot. I will watch an episode or 2 to see where they're taking this. It's not supposed to be like a remake. It's a continuation, and there is the possibility that Bakula may be involved at some point in the future, but without Dean Stockwell, yeah. I imagine it's difficult to imagine a project without him, but of course there can't be a project without him, right? I'm glad you had fun, Sonata 477. With those kind words, I think I'm going to take off. But if you want to stick around, I do have a handful of videos that I'll share with you guys before I turn out the lights and power down the substation. Everybody have a great remainder of the week, the weekend, and we'll talk to you all, hopefully many of you, on Monday over on the Retro Serial channel and during ENC's live stream. So thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with me today. Truly appreciate having you. We'll do some videos, then I'll power everything down. So again, thanks. Take care and have a great day.
Friday, gray jacket, navy pants, white shirt, blue tie. Gannon, dark gray suit, white shirt, blue tie. The dress code of Dragnet. It's part of our television heritage. Whether it was making a bust or making small talk with a lady friend, Joe and Bill wore the same suits in every episode of Dragnet. This conservative wear not only kept the wardrobe budget to a minimum, but also ensured the scenes were always cut together in editing. Of the 98 color episodes of Dragnet, only 5 contain scenes in which you'll find Joe out of uniform. Nick at Night is preserving our television heritage.
Friday wants to know.
You understand your rights?
Nick and I says, know your TV rights. According to state and federal law, you're entitled to classic TV all night. It's your right.
That makes it as legal as eating a hot dog at the ball game.
That's why, unlike some networks who leave you defenseless in late night, Nick at Night is always on patrol. From prime time into the wee hours, there to protect and serve you big TV pleasure.
Flip a dial, instant entertainment.
So exercise your right to classic TV all night with...
Have you ever wondered what it might be like to be given a name that everyone instantly recognizes? I'm sure Joseph E. Friday's parents didn't realize it at the time, but when they gave him the name Joe Friday, they pretty much guaranteed that their son would be instantly recognized for someone that he wasn't. And they had absolutely no idea that their son would actually become an officer of the law. More on that in just a moment, but first let me introduce myself. Hi folks, my name is Dave Sundstrom, and I like to think of myself as something of a pop culture historian, especially when it comes to music, movies, and television. Simply put, I love talking about this stuff. So with that said, let's get rolling. If you're watching this video, then I'm quite certain you know that Dragnet was one of the biggest hits of early television. The show actually started out on radio in 1949 and then moved to TV in 1951. And that version of Dragnet would run until 1959. And then 8 years later, Jack Webb would bring the show back for an additional 4 seasons. The program and its main character, played by Jack Webb, Sergeant Joe Friday, well, it was iconic. During the 50s, 60s, and even 70s, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who hadn't heard of Dragnet. Which brings us to the topic of this video. A real-life feller named Joe Friday, born in 1926, so his parents had no clue that the name they'd bestowed upon him would cause him so much grief. Born in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and raised in Milwaukee, Joe Friday served in the Army in Europe and Africa during World War II. It was during the Battle of the Bulge that Joe and another soldier got caught behind enemy lines, and if not for the kindness of civilians who risked their lives to hide the 2 soldiers, this story would be over before it even started. Fortunately for everyone involved, Joe and the other soldier made it back to their company safe and sound. After the war, Mr. Friday worked various jobs until he found his calling as a police officer in 1954. And it wasn't all that long after Joe had been hired by the Milwaukee Police Department that he received an unexpected telegram from Jack Webb. You see, when creating Dragnet, Jack thought that he'd picked a name for his character that no other police officer would actually have. So upon discovering that there was a newly hired officer with his character's name, he felt like he needed to reach out. The telegram said, "Very best wishes on your new job from both of us, Joe Friday and me." At the time, while the real Joe Friday thought it was pretty neat to get a telegram from someone like Jack Webb, He had no clue what sharing that famous name would mean for his career in law enforcement. You see, for the next 3 decades, Joe would find himself saying things like, "This is Joe Friday of the Milwaukee Police. Well, my name is Joe Friday. No, I'm not putting you on." I guess it's not all that hard to understand that people would need to be convinced that they were actually talking to a real police officer named Joe Friday. And night times at home were even worse, because Joe would get phone calls all night long, sometimes at 3 and 4 in the morning, and as you might expect, most of the time it was just kids who would sing dum-da-dum-dum and then hang up giggling. Yep, when Jack Webb sent that telegram to the real Joe Friday in 1954, I have to believe that he had a pretty darn good idea what Joe was in for. And for that reason, Jack Webb never forgot about his true-life counterpart pounding the pavement in Milwaukee. So when Jack found himself in Wisconsin to promote his new movie Pete Kelly's Blues, one of the first things that he did was track down Officer Friday and formally apologize for all of the hassle that he was experiencing. Jack also took Joe and his wife to dinner, where he listened intently to the real-life police officer talk about what his job was really like. For years, Joe would fondly recall that evening and tell his children that it was so very enjoyable, and that Jack Webb had been the perfect host. After dinner that evening, he felt like they had become close friends. The real Joe Friday retired in 1986. And whenever he could find a grandchild to lend a willing ear, he would regale them with stories from the field, as well as that special evening when Jack Webb met the real Joe Friday. After retiring, Joe would live a fairly quiet life for another 15 years before passing away on September 18, 2001. Lung cancer was the culprit. He was 75 years old. At the time of his passing, Joe's wife Mary said that the thing that he would probably want to be remembered most for was not his famous name, but rather that he was a devoted husband and father and grandfather. Getting back to Jack Webb, when he died in 1982, the Los Angeles Police Department provided him with full police honors. According to the New York Times, flags at the LAPD headquarters and outposts were flown at half-staff, and a police escort was offered to Webb's family for his funeral, and badge number 714 was retired. To my knowledge, this is the only time that the LAPD has done this for a civilian. Alright, now it's your turn. Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my little channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.